Hi, on behalf of our No Crisis team, I would like to present you with this short video on our Belmont-funded Ocean Sustainability Project. As mentioned, we've called it No Crises, which is short for Negotiating Ocean Conflicts Among Rivals for Sustainable and Equitable Solutions. Before I start this short video in which I will talk about why we proposed to do this project, I would like to point out that the photos that I'm showing in the video are either obtained from one of our partners or they've been downloaded from the internet, in which case I provide the web address for the videos. I would also like to mention that the project hasn't started yet, but we're hoping that we will be able to commence in the next 2 months or so. So firstly, I'll talk about why we chose to do this project. Then I'll talk briefly about who and where we propose to do it, and I'll give you a quick introduction on the methods we propose to use for this project. So firstly, why are we doing this project? Well, simply, oceans provide resources and ecosystem services to multiple marine sectors and multiple different stakeholders. The goal of ocean management is to accomplish a fair and sustainable use of marine resources and marine ecosystem services. This means simultaneously achieving economic security, environmental sustainability, social equity, and inclusion across space and time, and achieving this in the context of growing demand in terms of, for instance, population growth. So attaining these goals, these multiple goals, is complex and can frequently lead to conflict. Regions where pressures are increasing at a faster than average rate, which have been called so-called ocean change hotspots, are particularly susceptible to outbreaks of conflict. The map that's shown there shows you some of the ocean hotspots in terms of fast warming waters. So conflict comes in many forms. It can be between many or few. It can be persistent, or it can be new conflict, and it may differ in terms of the social dynamics that it portrays. To negotiate conflict mitigation and resolution, it's important to make the trade-offs between these different goals explicit and differentiate between conflict pathways and conflict types. Ultimately, management should result in enduring and legitimate outcomes, especially in ocean change hotspots. I'd now like to introduce you to the partners of the consortium, and starting in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia, we have CSIRO, the section that's called Oceans and Atmosphere, and we have Queensland University of Technology in Brisbane. And the German partners are at ZMT in Bremen, and it's the Centre for Tropical Marine Research. They're operating in conjunction with the University of Liberal Arts in Bangladesh. In Sweden, we have Uppsala University. And again, in the Southern Hemisphere, we have Rhodes University in Grahamstown, the Department of Anthropology, Ecology and Fisheries Science. In the US, we have East Carolina University, and we have the University of California, Santa Cruz, the Institute of Marine Science. I'd like to introduce you to the faces behind those institutions. And firstly, in Australia, there's Manuela, who's at the Queensland University of Technology, myself and Jeff Dumbaker, who are both at CSIRO in Hobart, and there's Eva and Leo, who are both at CSIRO in Brisbane. The US partners, we have Sid and Nadine in South Carolina, and we have Adina in Santa Cruz, and one postdoc who's yet to be appointed. In Sweden, we have Väinö Boonstra and a postdoc who's also still to be appointed. In South Africa, we have Shankar and Warwick, and a postdoc who's still to be appointed. In Germany, we have Marion and Annette at ZMT, and Samia, who's based in Dhaka in Bangladesh. And in Sweden, Brazil, we have Diego Galavasi, who will be doing the arts component of our project together with Manuela. Where are we going to be doing the research? Firstly, in Australia, we'll be looking at Indigenous ownership in the Pacific. The German partners will be looking at large-scale development, including aquaculture in Bangladesh. The Swedish partners will be looking at international fisheries issues in the Northern Atlantic. The South African partners will be looking at local fishes and recreational tourism sector in the Seychelles and marine protected areas in Gran Canaria. And the US partners will be looking at wastewater reclamation in Hawaii. A few brief words on how we propose to undertake this research. Firstly, we aim to identify the interactions between social and ecological dynamics that led to the conflict in each of the case studies using process tracing, where we identify conflict pathways. Here's an example of a conflict pathway that was produced in a paper by Jessica Spakers and Wynand Boonstra, and it's for the Atlantic mackerel dispute. Aside from process tracing, we'll be using fieldwork. We'll be doing fieldwork and we'll be doing workshops and surveys. Firstly, to understand the structure and operation of the governance system and its role in shaping the human-environment interactions. We'll be using governance mapping for that. We'll investigate different perceptions of local users of the regional socio-ecological feedback systems that characterise their situation using participatory qualitative modelling. We'll identify groups with shared values using cultural consensus analysis. And last, we identified trade-offs between secular and sacred values using multiple criteria analysis and cost-benefit analysis, amongst other things. Importantly, we're also using storytelling. Storytelling is a powerful way to elicit how different people conceptualize a system. So local and consortium-based visual artists have a crucial role in our case studies and workshops. And the storytelling is central to knowledge co-creation, and our work will capture the locally relevant issues. Ultimately, what we aim to get out of the project is to gain a deeper understanding of the causes and possible development trajectories of ocean conflict, and to develop locally sensitive but globally relevant negotiation and conflict management knowledge and tools. Thank you very much for your attention on behalf of the No Crisis team.